Hello there, and welcome to Defy Aging Week 29. And I am Coach Allison to review all of that with you. So this week we have two mini circuits. There's going to be 3 exercises in each circuit, and we're going to run them simultaneously if we have a large enough session. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You stay in that small 3 exercise circuit for 3 rounds of 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. We'll take a little break after that. Everyone will switch to the other circuit and do 3 more rounds of 30 on, 30 off at the other one. So that was pretty straightforward. Then, of course, we have our team builder at the end. That will be mostly a cardio focus, maybe a little bit of coordination as well. And yeah, that's our week. So let's go through the demonstrations for our 6 exercises. All right, in circuit 1, first station, or I guess just one of the stations because everyone starts somewhere different, is a half kneel, bottoms up overhead press. So there's a lot going on there, right? So we're in our usual half kneel position. We're going to flip the kettlebell bottoms up, hold it at the base of the handles. And from here, it's an overhead press, just like if we more traditionally have dumbbells like that. Okay, so we press up, bring it down. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see how you kind of have to make sure you get around your head, but then you do kind of want to bring the arms back straight up because we don't want to press out. So around the head, up, or you can just kind of keep your head back. For some people, that's, just kind of keeping the head shifted back is all you have to do. But yeah, we want a full extension with the arms. So try to make sure you're not stopping here, but try to get that full extension up. We have 3 rounds. So we'll just do round 1 with one knee up, round 2 with the other knee up, and then round 3 back to the first knee. Yeah, there'll be 2 sets on one side, 1 set on the other, but it's not a big deal because the main focus here is the shoulder work and the pressing. The half kneel is more for stability, so it's okay if we're not exactly even on that. Anyone staying off the knees, turn into a staggered stance. So you're up on your feet with a slight stagger, okay, like that. And if that feels a little too unsteady up on your feet with a staggered stance, feel free to stand in a traditional, parallel feet stance. That's fine too. All right, but that is the first station in circuit A. Exercise 2 is a tricep push down, which we have done these before. We're going to use the bands. If some of the clubs have a cable machine in the space, you can use that too, but then you run into the issue of people needing to change the pin to select different weights on the stack. So I think it's quicker and easier and less complicated to use the bands, but using a cable machine is great as well if that's what your session is going to do. So we have it hooked up somewhere high. Palms are turned forward like this, okay? I like to stagger my stance for a little more stability. If this is more comfortable for you, that's fine too. Keep your shoulders down, so make sure they aren't, when sometimes we push down, we kind of instinctively auto-correct or compensate by then shifting shoulders up. So we want to avoid that with this. So I'm going to keep my shoulders down when I press. I'm not going to allow the shoulders to do this. Elbows stay in at your side. So see how I'm starting right here? I'm going to pull my elbows down to my side, and that's going to be my now starting position. Push down till the arms are straight, bend back up. But on the bend back up, that's when you don't allow your elbows to move from your side like this. So keep those elbows glued right at your side. Just pretend there's like a pin that goes in your elbow and connects into your side. So like if there's a pin there, you can't raise the arms forward, if that helps. Yeah, and you want straight, strong wrists. So we want to make sure the wrists at the bottom of the press aren't starting to do this, but instead keep them nice and straight at all times. All right, for a relatively simple looking movement, there's a lot of little things to keep in mind. So that's our tricep push down. Third station in circuit A, we're going to do a narrow squat, which we've had these in our warm-up occasionally, but I don't honestly think I've ever put them in the routine, which is weird. So a narrow squat just means you have a narrow stance, as opposed to most people will stand about hip width apart for a standard squat, right? Like this. Okay, but for a narrow squat, your feet they don't have to be touching. They can be, but if you need to keep like an inch apart, that's okay. And then we go into a squat. Now There's a lot of things to keep in mind here. The knees will, for most of us, the knees will, if we aren't thinking about it, the knees will go out like this. They'll bow out, okay? Because our legs are wanting to revert to that normal wide stance. And that's usually a stronger type of squat for us too. So the knees are wanting to go out. So you have to consciously, and then make yourself do it. Keep the knees, like right here, my knees want to do this, but I'm forcing myself to keep them in. That engages a lot of muscles here in the hips, and you're going to feel that. So yeah, you might not be able to get as low as a normal squat, and that's okay. So just get as low as you can, but it is important that you're just shifting your hips back, and we're not just doing this, because this is just me bending my knees. But a squat has hips that go back, keep your chest relatively upright, and make sure your knees don't protrude excessively forward. So we want to keep all that in mind. It's just everything is a little trickier with this narrow stance. And the narrow stance does also target more of your like thighs, as opposed to a traditional squat targets kind of the whole leg. Okay, so that's a little difference there. Anyway, we're going to give them a try. It can be a tiny bit more knee intensive than a regular squat. So if you try it and your knees aren't liking it because maybe you have a pre-existing knee issue or condition, if that is the case for you, then we're going to switch you to a traditional squat stance and avoid any issues with the knees. But if your knees are healthy and good to go, it shouldn't cause any problems. All right, now we're in circuit B. So the first station is a TRX underhand row. If we aren't specifying the grip, it's the normal hand position would be neutral like this, so palms turned in, right? So we're going to flip those palms up and do an underhand row. And I will tell you out right off the bat, the little nuance to that is that it doesn't have to be a perfectly strict underhand like this, because if I'm forcing my palms straight up in the air, it kind of puts like a weird angle on my elbows. Like I feel like something isn't aligning right here. So for me, I would kind of do a slight, see how this is perfectly upright, but now I'm going to angle them just a little. And that feels better on my elbows, but it's still for the most part an underhand position. So I hope all that made sense. So keep that in mind when you're doing your underhand rows. So again, palms, this would be my palms perfectly straight up. That's a little uncomfortable, so I'm going to angle them in just a little bit. The farther down you step with a TRX row, the harder it gets, so you can adjust by coming up to make it a little lighter. Do let your arms fully extend, which is a little, see, TRX is a lot of trust, because, you know, if I let go right now, I'm falling backwards. And we pull up, same as any other row. Don't allow your shoulders to shrug. Keep that underhand hand position. If you're looking at my hands right now, you can see that, whereas this would be kind of the normal, right? Again, and we don't let the butt go down like this when we do a row. So the hips stay still. Your body goes diagonal as you go down. And there you go. You are going to get a lot of forearm and like bicep with this underhand position. So you'll feel some arm, even though it is a back exercise. So that's our station one. Next station is a kneeling bicep curl. So we're in a tall kneeling position like this. So we're upright, nice and tall. And from here, we just do a traditional bicep curl. So that's nothing fancy. The only weird thing is we're adding the kneeling as opposed to standing up. But so again, curl all the way up, and then let your arm come all the way down at the bottom of each rep. Instead of, sometimes we kind of want to stop it here, maybe not get that full extension. So do come all the way down. When you curl up, all you do is bend the elbows. But what you don't have to do is like raise the arms forward. See that? So no need to do that. Just bend the elbow up, release back down. Anyone not doing our floor exercises, we're going to take this to a seated curl. That still gets, you still have to keep your body upright, and it still gets like the stability of the core, but you do need to sit really close to the edge because you have to have room for these weights to come down, right? So if I'm sitting way back here, the weights can't come down. So if anyone is staying off the floor, change it to a seated variety, but that's our bicep station. Final station for circuit B, it's a conventional deadlift. Now we always, because I've never actually done this variety before, so I know it's always do a Romanian deadlift, RDL. In that case, you start standing. This is how we normally do them. We start standing, You keep the legs mostly straight, just that very soft bend, right? And it's a hip hinge. So a conventional deadlift is a hip hinge as well, but we'll go over the differences. So this is, and then you start and end in the up position with a Romanian deadlift. So we're going to try a conventional deadlift this week. There's more differences than just this, but one main one is that you start the movement, the equipment on the floor. That's the starting and the ending position. So it's flip-flop from the Romanian deadlift. So you start with it on the floor, you pull it up, bring it back down. See the difference? Whereas the Romanians that we typically do is starting up, going down and coming back up. So it's reversed. The other difference is it's a little more, it's still a hinge, a hip hinge, but it's a little more of a knee bend with a conventional deadlift. So let me show you what all this looks like. So I have my kettlebell, pick a heavy weight because deadlifts are a very strong exercise. I'm going to have the kettlebell on the floor to start. My starting position is down here. And you bend the knees as much as you need to get down to your equipment. So again, the ones we typically do, you only come down about halfway and you keep the legs more straight. Conventional deadlift, since you have to get lower, there's a little more of a knee bend, but make sure you're still doing this forward hip hinge. See, my body is still forward. So I'm down here, back is flat. I have a nice bend in my knees. I'm going to stand up with the weight, bring it all the way back down. And that's the difference. You go up and down instead of down and up. More knee bend. See how much I'm bending my knees with what our traditional deadlift that we do, our standard RDL, doesn't have this much bend in the knees. So I hope that all made sense. To be honest, I understand if you're confused. Even being a trainer myself, it took me a couple of years to fully understand the main differences between a conventional deadlift and an RDL. So we're going to try the conventional ones this week. If for some reason it's a little too low for you, even with bending the knees, that's totally fine. Revert to our more typical Romanian deadlift, which is this version. I know that was kind of a long explanation, but give it a try and we'll see how you like it. Okay, team builder time. This is so hard to explain, and I have a small space in which I can demo this. So, but it is a little sequence of 4 different movements. We're going to take the whole turf space because we need the perimeter of the turf. You're going to start in one corner. I'll show you all this. You're going to start in one corner. You're going to grapevine the length of the turf to the other corner. Then we're going to go forward with a jog or a speed walk, whatever is appropriate for you. Then we're going to go the other length back down with a shuffle. Now we're in the third corner of the room. And to get back to where we started, we're going to do like a backwards trot or walk or a backwards step. So you face the same direction the whole time. So this is going to be, I'm going to attempt this demo and it's going to be ridiculous because I don't have enough space. But okay, so I'm in one corner of the room. I might go out of the screen occasionally, but I'll still talk through it. Grapevine is putting one foot in front and then behind, right? We've done the grapevine before. That's a lot of coordination right there. So grapevine to the other corner of the room. Now I'm in the corner. I'm going to run or jog forward. Okay, that's me running forward. So I'm still facing the same direction. Now I'm going to shuffle to the other corner. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And then to get back to where I started, we're going to kind of do a backwards trot. You do have to kind of use your peripheral vision and look a little behind you when you do your backwards trot. So all in all, we made a full square back to the original corner that we started in. Give the person ahead of you, let them get to the far end of the turf before you start so we don't get too jumbled up because everyone's going to be going at different speeds. And then we also want to do 2 rounds because we want to face one way for round 1 and then face the other way for round 2. Okay? So this one's going to be fun. I hope the coaches get some video of this to post on the Facebook pages because I'm going to love watching this. It's going to be a good one. A little bit of cardio, a little bit of coordination, a little bit of agility. All right, have a good time with it. All right, that's the full week 29. Hope you enjoy this workout. And next week for week 30 is going to be one of our increments of 10, right? So that will be another mobility week. So you can look forward to that next week. But for now, enjoy this workout and have a great week.